Hi all. Hope your perception and philosophical outlook of travel might have taken a new turn after going through the chapter Sunrise on the Hills by H.W. Longfellow. The very next chapter, The Trip of Horla, is a travel essay which describes a new mode of travel and explores the Mother Earth from a very different angle. You may ask what is the difference between viewing Mother Earth from an aeroplane and from a balloon. Of course, as we all know, an aeroplane flies high and is super fast. The narration begins as the narrator receives a telegram from Captain Jovis informing him that the hot air balloon journey would start exactly by 5 o'clock. So, the narrator reaches or reports La Villette exactly at 5 o'clock. Then what happens? Instead of narrating the whole story, our primary concern is how to address the examination. For this, I'll be giving you certain questions, expected questions and model answers. Through these model answers, we'll also be covering up the whole chapter. So, to start with, let's begin naming the characters of this chapter. They are Captain Jovis, Lieutenant Mallet, Major Etrenby, Major Paul Bazin, Guy du Maupassant, Major Patrice Aris, and Major Joliet. Can you identify how many of them were the passengers in the balloon? S. The Captain Jovis, Lieutenant Mallet, Major Etrenby, Major Paul Bazin, Guy du Maupassant. Now that we are acquainted with the names of the characters, what type of a question can we expect from this? Of course, we will be asked to write a character sketch. You might have noted that there is no much details regarding any of the characters of this story. So in such cases, we have to weave together what little detail we get from the chapter and add appropriate adjectives to it. Let's look into a model answer. Captain Jovis being a prominent character, let's start writing a character sketch regarding Captain Jovis itself. Character sketch of Captain Jovis. Captain Jovis is a central character in the story, A Trip of Horla. He constantly endeavors, means to take sincere attempt to fulfill the need of the group even amidst the voyage. Only a good administrator can direct a group in the most compassionate manner even during the time of emergency. When Beer expresses his amazement and exclaims the shadow to a dog, Captain proves his common sense and humor sense. He, instead of getting panicked, laughs and makes them understand that it was just a shadow of the balloon. When the narrator identifies in a strong wind, Jovis fears to frighten his happy and quiet passengers. He makes the situation light by addressing it as probably a waterfall, though he knows that a storm is passing them. It shows his care for the fellow beings. He also offered enough freedom for his co-passengers. It was Major Bazin who notices the masts and identifies that they were at the sea. Lieutenant Mallet also seems to enjoy his work because of the trust he gets from Captain Jovis. Hence, we can say that he is a typical leader known for his efficiency, responsibility and humorous approach with his co-workers or co-passengers. You might have noticed how the character of Captain Jovis was developed with very little information. Let me give you an overall picture of certain other characters of this story. To start with Lieutenant Mallet. Lieutenant Mallet was posted as officer on watch. He at times gets bewildered and confused when the balloon moves fast that he does not even know where they are, and often his instructions are carried out with due respect. The ballast is thrown to check the direction of the balloon. We also get a feeling that the reins of the balloon is in his hands. Next, regarding Major Aris. He was supposed to be a passenger but gets out of the balloon because the basket carrying the passengers has become too heavy for the balloon. He is regretful because he had planned for the flight and he would lose all adventure and fun. And next, regarding Monsieur Joliet, there are very little information regarding him. Monsieur Joliet's words and deeds tells that he is an adventurous man. He gallantly asks the ladies to stand aside. This shows how considerate he was. Next, let's learn how to write a good report. It is essential to determine what type of report is needed, the scope and the purpose. You might be asked either to write a live report, a newspaper report, or a program report. What should go into a good report? What feature or elements are required? To create a benchmark, it is essential that you use the best language. Your style of language can be enhanced by using the best adjectives suited to the lines. So, first let's deal with a live report. What is a live report? Let's start with a live report. What is a live report? Live report covers the moment as the incident happens. That is, when an event streams, it is said to be live. The audience is looking at the event happening right before their eyes. Nowadays, this form is getting a dominant value. It can be a daunting task. Now, let's keep in mind the feature that makes a report live. Yes, make use of present tense. Use simple present tense and present continuous tense. Try to use exclamations too, such as wow, how, etc. because you are reporting while the program or the incident is taking place. Next, keep it impersonal. Report exactly what you see and not what you feel. Then structuralize. Structuralize your ideas. Describe and assimilate the scene in a framework of importance, like the arrival of dignitaries, reactions of audience, details of inauguration, etc. Then detailing. Detailing is obviously a fact that we are all aware of. It is of prime importance. Your report should answer the 6 W's: what, when, who, where, why and how. Then comes the conclusion. Introduce the names of the reporter and place involved in the story. Include the reporter's sign-off along with possible outcomes of the story. Let me introduce you to a model question and answer of how a live report must be done. Yes, the question is, draft a live report of Horla's takeoff. Now it's time for you to keenly observe and notice how a live report is written. Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the gasworks at La Ville. Today is a page which will be written in golden letters in the history of France. A journey through the skies is about to start. A few gentlemen are going to get the feeling of free birds mastering the winds and the skies. Yes, here is a balloon ride, a ride from Paris through the Belgium border and moving to Charles through air. As you can all see, a crowd has assembled here to watch history through their own eyes. The Horla is lying on the ground like a cake made of yellow cloth. We can see the filling of gas into it. Oh, now the balloon expands. The crowd is engaged in serious talks. Meanwhile, the balloon has become enormous and transparent like a prodigious golden fruit, a fantastic pear, which is ripening by the last rays of the setting sun. The basket has come. It is being attached to the balloon. The barometer, eatables, raincoats and everything is being very safely placed. Lieutenant Mallet jumps in first and inspects the safety. He will be the night watchman. Major Etrin Beer, Major Paul Bazin, Major Patrice Iris and Guy du Maupassant gets in too. But as the basket is too heavy, Major Iris gets out. So sad. Captain Jovis is now ready. Now the ropes of Horla is cut off and the balloon gets its liberty. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now witnessing the historical takeoff of Horla. Let's all wish the best to the travelers. May their eyes enjoy the feast of the sky. It's me, Signing off from Paris. Next, a newspaper report. Here are some tips to write a newspaper report. The first step is, of course, to clearly define a topic or a headline. Give a suitable headline to the report. Use simple and catchy words. Use fewer words as possible and also include interesting adjectives. The next step is to include all prominent details. Yes, your paragraphs should include the what, the when, the who, the where, the why, and how of the event. The third point you have to keep in your mind is to keep things impersonal. Objectivity is more important. Try to keep it impersonal. The best way to keep impersonal is to avoid the word I. Then use past tense and prefer passive voice. Past tense because you report after the event takes place, and passive voice to make it look more formal. And the last point that you have to keep in your mind is to use simple and plain language. Have a clear writing style. It should be concise and accessible to the reader. Here is a model for you. Report the landing of Le Horla as described by one of the passengers. A voyage through the skies. The balloon was rising through the warm air. We felt that nothing was more amusing and interesting than the traveling in the hot air balloon. We enjoyed the life inside. When we reached a height of 200 feet, we felt a warm current of air. The balloon expanded and lost control. The balloon started rising. We could see nothing but the moon. Gradually, we rose to 3,350 meters above the earth. Then the balloon stopped still for a few seconds. Later started its journey back to earth. We saw the shadow of our vehicle jumping over ditches and trees. A storm followed us closely. Suddenly, the lights of a town appeared. We could see the streams, cows, and peasants. Captain Jarvis was getting ready for a favorable landing. Finally, it touched the earth. Lieutenant Mallet put the anchor, and with a sudden shock, the balloon stopped madly like a wonderful beast. The peasants around wondered at the sight of this balloon. The cows were also amazed to see us and the massive balloon. And at last, with the help of those Belgian peasants and the travelers, reached the station at Haste. And from there, we took the train to Paris. Next, let's learn how to write a program report. And this is the program chart that will be given as a part of the question paper. Now let me give you certain guidelines for writing a program report. The first thing that you have to do is to read the given program carefully. Just before answering, have a careful look into the chart. Now let me give you certain guidelines to write a program report. This is more or less similar to the newspaper report. Only thing that matters is you have to stick on to the chart. So read the given program chart carefully because it includes all details and it is these details that we should focus on. Then give a catchy headline. Then write an introduction. Then write the order of details in the order of importance and not in the chronological order. This is more important. Don't start reporting as per the order given in the chart, but stick on to the order of prominence. For example, welcome speech comes first in the chart. However important the person who welcomes is, remember it is he who hosts the function. Hence give importance to the guests of honor or prominence. The chief guest is more important. Hence describe the inaugural part first. See that you use simple and plain language. We are going to simply expand the chart using past tense. To make your write-up look pretty good, you can quote those important messages dropped by them in their speech. So here you have a model question and an answer for writing a program report. The question is, the following is the program of a function arranged by the Science Club in your school to commemorate Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. You are the secretary of the club. Your principal asks you to submit a report on the celebration. Prepare it. Remembrance of Dr. Abdul Kalam, Kozhikode, February 2. APJ Abdul Kalam, an Indian aerospace scientist and politician who served as the 11th President of our nation, was commemorated in ABC Higher Secondary School, Kozhikode on February 2020. The meeting held at the school auditorium was inaugurated by the Director of Planetarium. He made an inspiring speech on the Missile Man of India, who gave his entire life for the development of the country as a teacher, scientist, and as a President of India. The meeting was chaired by Sri XYZ, the PTA President. He reminded the students that the future of India were in their hands. Our principal welcomed the gathering. He made the students aware of the responsibility vested upon them as the future policy makers. The report was presented by the Secretary of Science Club. Felicitations were made by the Councillor Vellimadukunnu, Staff Secretary, Teacher Science Club in charge, and a member of Science Club. With the vote of thanks by the school leader, the meeting came to an end. The meeting was followed by a PowerPoint presentation on the life history of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and a missile model was presented by the students of class 12. As a whole, the day's program was a grand success. I hope over the course of this session, you gained a good grip on the characters introduced, and you might have also mastered how to write a good report. Basically, we learned 3 reports. The first one was a live report, and then a newspaper report, and later a program report. I think it's time for us to wind up this session.